Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining today's stream. News summary from Moscow, from Russia. It is 20th May, 12 p.m. Moscow time, and as always, I have prepared quite a number of news on some major developments that Russian media and public is paying attention to. And I hope you will find today's update informative, interesting, useful, and in that case, if you can like the video, click the like button, leave some commentary, especially if you are watching this video after live stream ends. Comment section gonna be open on YouTube, and just leave some comments. Wish me a good day, as I wish you all, dear friends, good day. More likes and comments might just help to reach people on these platforms, on YouTube and Rumble, that I'm streaming simultaneously, that might have interest in the news from Russia. And as I said, there are a lot of news that I want to share with you on some key topics. But before I start, let me just remind you that if there is any super chatter on Rumble during the stream, or any comments or the questions, of course, I will react on it, either on Rumble or, by the way, through PayPal or Boosty. And am I back? My apologies, dear friends. Some technical issues straight away, which is unfortunate, but hopefully I'm back. I don't know, man. My notebook is not working. Something is wrong with the freaking notebook, man. My apologies. I don't know what to do even, man. I will restart notebook, dear friends, and I will back her in literally in a few minutes time. My apologies. I cannot open screen share. Nothing is working. Literally nothing is working. I know I am still online, but just nothing is working. So I just have to restart the notebook. Sorry, dear friends, I have garbage equipment, as you can understand by now, as you know by now. So I will restart in a minute's time. I guess I'm back. Well, my apologies, dear friends, for these technical issues. What can I do? Things happen time to time, especially when you are working on some garbage equipment. Literally freaking garbage, man. That is, but that's all I have for now. And well, let me open. Let me open a program that I have prepared. And I was planning, dear friends, to start live stream while with the reaction on yesterday's super chat from Scooby on Rumble that I missed. This super chat was towards the end of the live stream. So yesterday I wasn't able to react on this last super chat from Scooby. I will do it now, if I may, and then let's go through some news. And there is a lot to talk, dear friends. Many thanks for being here despite all these technical issues in the beginning. And this is the comment from Scooby that I missed yesterday during the live stream. So thank you very much, Scooby, once again for your activity yesterday and in other days on Rumble. And Scooby commented definition of insanity, repeating same thing over and over. Scooby was critical of my work yesterday. And I guess this comment is about that too. And well, Scooby, what can I say? If I remember correctly, this saying goes, it's a bit differently. Definition of insanity might be doing same thing over and over again and expect different outcome. And people say it was Albert Einstein, isn't it, who allegedly said this. I don't know who actually come up with this phrase originally. It could be Einstein, but point is that I don't expect any different outcome. That's their issue. I mean, that's where we have misunderstandings. Could be if you are watching now. I don't know if you are watching, but that's where we have a misunderstanding, because you think I want any different outcome other than my actual expectation, and I don't. Right? I do what I want to do. I'm happy with my work, right? And I'm going to continue doing same stuff, right? With some, I don't know, additions maybe time to time. But that's all. I don't expect any different outcome. I grew up in journalism. I love to talk about politics, geopolitics, some important stuff, right? And that's what I do, really. And if people joins this conversation, if people appreciate what I do, good. If not, then okay, right? But therefore, I don't understand what is your expectation, really. But my expectation is exactly what I'm doing. Right? And there are hundreds of people, maybe not tens of thousands, but hundreds and sometimes thousands of people are tuning in to watch my videos, to listen to my videos. Sometimes they might agree with me, sometimes don't, but that's all good, right? All fine. I never wanted to be like a famous commentator on internet or anything like that, really. So therefore, I don't think either my project is failing or I'm failing. I think actually I am succeeding. And because views are low, first and foremost, I'm not even sure what views are on my channels, right? Because remember what happened on Twitter? When Elon Musk brought the Twitter, he released information that numbers were manipulated. So how you know how many views, actual real views of real humans are on this or that channel? You cannot know, I cannot know, right? And secondly, just because YouTube does not show like tens of thousands of views on my channels, I don't think I'm failing. No, man. You know, I'm doing my thinker. If people like it, people like it. If people don't like it, then okay, that will be clear enough message to me, right? To stop making this stuff, these programs. So thank you very much, Scooby, for your super chat yesterday, and your critical take too. I'm open for criticism, but I think we are misunderstanding each other, because I don't expect a different outcome, right? If my channels were not suppressed, maybe situation would be a little different for the project, including financially, and I would not have this crappy equipment. I would be able to have some proper studio, right? I would not use this chroma key from StreamYard, right? And I will have a proper studio, proper equipment. But anyways, man, this is not the main point. Main point is to share information that is relevant in Russia to me, to share my opinion. And if we agree. If we understand each other, good. If not, then at some point I will start live stream and literally nobody gonna be there, right? I will open my Patreon, and instead of 138 supporters that I have now, there will be none. And that's going to be enough message, right? That I'm in the wrong place. But right now, I think I'm in my place, because unlike many other commentators in this field that have no freaking idea what actual journalism is, I grew up in the journalism, right? So probably that means something. I don't know. Anyways, dear friends, let's continue with some news. Either way, I'm grateful for comments, super chats, and the criticism too, by the way. When it's a constructive criticism, it's always good. Okay, now let's start the new segment itself. My apologies for this long intro, for technical issues in the beginning. But for whatever reason, notebook just freaking froze, man. I was thinking, what the hell is wrong with this? But, things happen. And I'm going to start, dear friends, with this report from RIA Novosti about work of Russian air defense systems past night. Unfortunately, there was once again large-scale long-range attack on the Russian Federation, orchestrated by NATO member states and their proxies in Ukraine. Air defenses intercepted 273 drones over the Russian Federation, mostly European part of the Russian Federation, as it is the case usually. And to be more precise, Russian air defenses intercepted drones over the Belgorod, Bryansk, Voronezh, Volgograd, Kaluga, Kursk, Lipetsk, Leningrad, Nizhny Novgorod, Oryol, Rostov, Smolensk, Tver, Tula regions. Some of the drones were destroyed over the Krasnodar Krai and Stavropol territory, Crimea, Tatarstan, Autonomous Republic of the Russian Federation, over the Moscow region, over the waters of the Azov Sea and the Black Sea. So you can see there vast geography, unfortunately, of these attacks on the Russian Federation that NATO member states are orchestrating literally on daily basis, and increasing this longer range, increasing launches of the long range weapons that Russian air defense systems are and defense forces are dealing with. And well, as I already mentioned a minute ago, one of the directions of attacks was Leningrad region once again, and these attacks on Leningrad region continues. This morning at 8:39, 8:30 basically, this morning RIA Novosti reported that 3 more drones, for example, were intercepted over the region by air defense forces. And some might say, well, European NATO member states, including Baltic nations that are directly involved in these attacks, including on the Leningrad region, are incapable to learn anything, because especially after, for example, yet another warning from Moscow yesterday that came from Foreign Intelligence Service, which said that Ukraine is preparing strikes on Russia from NATO country, and the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service was talking about Latvia. But I will agree with their assumption that globalist controlled regimes all over Europe, that they are unable to learn anything, and Even though in Latvia, for example, there was a political crisis and their defense minister resigned due to Ukrainian drones in the airspace of Latvia and crashes of those drones there. Prime minister even resigned. There was a political crisis there. Also, similar situations when it comes to Ukrainian drones, crashes and fly passes over their airspace occurred in Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Finland, Poland too, by the way. But nobody's talking about Poland. Those drones cannot end up in the Baltics without crossing Polish airspace, for example, if they are launched from western parts of Ukraine. That's something that also interesting. Why nobody's talking about involvement of Poland? But okay, that's a different story. One might say, why these people that are formally in charge of Baltic entities, at least, are not learning, don't understand that Russia is issuing these warnings for a reason, right? Eventually, they will change their attitude, and from warnings, they will go ahead and start actually taking some kinetic steps to neutralize the threats that are coming from NATO territories, but they don't care. Maybe some individuals in the leadership of Baltic entities are scared. Maybe they understand what's going on, but globalists don't care, and therefore they can force any regime that they control in Europe, including in the Baltics, to obey orders. And if orders are that they have to continue attacking Russia, that's what they're gonna do. No matter what kind of consequences the people of those republics gonna face eventually. They just simply don't care. Let's keep that in mind. And some elements in these Baltic entities clearly understand that Russia will retaliate and retaliate harder on NATO member states, including these NATO member states, and therefore they're actively working on a plausible deniability. Finnish leadership, or Estonian leadership, Latvian leadership, or Lithuanian leadership, in unison, basically are saying nowadays that they did not provide airspace for a Kyiv regime to launch drones bypassing their territories. They did not create the aerial corridor for Ukrainian drones. They are not allowing their ground to be used by Ukrainians for these launches. Yesterday, Estonia, there was reports that in Estonia, one of the Ukrainian drones even was shut down by Romanian F-16, something like that, right? This is all a game, by the way. Media campaign, basically deception operation to exercise this plausible deniability topic. They're not gonna fool nobody, obviously, right? Moscow knows perfectly well which NATO member states are guilty of death of thousands of Russian citizens, and when time comes for retaliation, and I think this time came on the first day of special military operation. That's where this time actually was, right? To strike on these NATO terrorist entities. But Russian president had a different opinion and still has different opinions. So, but eventually he will greenlight Russian security services, Russian militaries to strike back on NATO countries that are killing Russian citizens, and this time is coming soon, right? So these games with the plausible deniability not gonna influence anything, really. Not gonna influence anything. And you might ask, well, talks about Russian retaliation is taking place for so long now that no one is actually believed that Russia will retaliate. I understand this skepticism. There are many, not just ordinary citizens, by the way, like me and you, but there are like big names in alternative media that are also skeptical that Russia will actually retaliate. Nothing to be said about globalists and globalist-controlled regimes in Europe. They are openly, publicly are saying that Moscow is bluffing, so they are not taking, according to them, seriously statements of the Russian leadership. They don't take seriously Russian leadership or Russian Federation itself. But I think retaliation is going to happen, my personal opinion, and nowadays more and more people are on the same page with me. Probably you notice, isn't it? Even in alternative media, there are already voices can be heard that are saying very same stuff that I was saying for God knows how long now, that everything that has its beginning has its end, also including pensions of the Russian leadership, and they will come when Russia will retaliate. And now everybody, not everybody, but many people are talking about the same stuff. Okay, that's interesting. And when it comes to retaliation, specifics about retaliation, you might ask when Russia might retaliate. I mean, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. I think there is a probability that Russia will retaliate before June. Before June, because let me remind you, dear friends, if you forgot or didn't pay attention, that from 3rd to 6th June in St. Petersburg, in the northern capital of Russia, or cultural capital of Russian Federation, as this city is also known, St. Petersburg's International Economical Forum gonna take place, in which usually Russian president participates, leaders of number of other countries usually are invited and are participating, and delegations, huge delegations of businessmen and public figures and officials from dozens of countries. And unfortunately, due to reckless behavior of the Western ruling class, globalists and globalist control regimes all over Europe, including Baltic Chihuahua entities, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Finland, Poland, and so on, St. Petersburg became a frontline city. Even though from Kiev controlled territory, St. Petersburg is very far, or quite far at least. Unfortunately, St. Petersburg become a sort of a frontline city now. Leningrad region is targeted practically on daily basis. These attacks are coming from Finland, Estonia, Latvia, usually, right? And I think in order to secure St. Petersburg, entire Leningrad region, and St. Petersburg city too, in order to be able to host this event, St. Petersburg's Economical Forum from 3rd to 6th of June, safely, right? Probably Moscow will take some actions in upcoming days before June. And you know, dear friends, Russian president is in China now, right? He is having a Russian delegation. There is a serious talks between Russia and China. I will get to that pointer in a few minutes. But I think once Russian president will come back to Russia, he will finally greenlight Russian military and security services to take action and strike back on NATO member states that are engaged in this directly engaged in this war against Russian Federation. So that means couple of weeks, right? If my understanding is correct, then in next maximum few weeks, Russia will strike back on NATO member states, and Russia will strike not just on Estonia or Finland or Latvia or Lithuania, by the way. Well, globalists would not care. Globalists would love it, actually. Globalists, they are preparing these Baltic Chihuahuas to be sacrificed for a long time now, and that's why they are ordering their horse that being put in a position of leadership of Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania to launch attacks on Russian Federation. That's why globalists are actually ordering these bitches in these Baltic entities to attack Russia, to provoke reaction, right? But the point is that globalists think Russia might retaliate with on these Baltic entities only, right? And that's where they are making miscalculation. Russia will strike London. Russia will strike London, by the way. Hard of the globalists, right? Mark my word. Russia will strike UK 100%, 100%, in my personal opinion. And some of the targets will be in London too. Then we will see how these globalists will behave after that. We're not going to strike back only on Baltic Chihuahuas, man. Everyone should understand this, right? We will strike on UK, we will strike on France, we will strike on Germany, we will strike on Poland, we will strike on Italy, and many other, on Denmark, by the way, and many other entities in Europe that are directly engaged in this war against Russian Federation. So if anybody in UK, for example, is watching these updates, right, and thinking, oh, maximum what Russia might do, if they will ever do anything, is to take some attacks or strikes, counter strikes on Estonia. Who cares, right? We are far away, so no big deal. No. Russian missile is gonna visit UK. Legit targets, of course. Russian missile is gonna visit UK, and all the others, that are engaged in this war against Russia. That's what my prediction is. That's what I'm saying. And in a few days' time, we're gonna find out how correct I am. And I am correct, by the way. I was correct on so many freaking occasions while predicting certain developments that I personally have no doubts that yes, that's how it's gonna be, man. We're gonna strike, and we're gonna strike with such a scale and force that whole Europe gonna be in a freaking shock for a very long time. Because because that's how it's gonna be, right? When it comes to means of retaliation, dear friends, yesterday, large-scale nuclear exercises has begun in the Russian Federation, and day before in Belarus, right? When it comes to nuclear exercises here in Russia, to have a good understanding about scale of these exercises, let me give you some details. More than 200 missile launchers are involved. Nuclear-capable missile launchers, right? This is a big deal. And this means not just some short-range missiles. This means ICBMs, right? Intercontinental ballistic missiles. That's what we are talking about. More than 140 aircrafts, including strategical aviation, that can carry long-range cruise missiles with the nuclear warheads. Also, 73 surface ships that also can carry hypersonic missiles with nuclear warheads. 13 submarines, 8 of which are strategical submarines. That means they are carrying ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, Bulava missiles, right? Each Bulava has a dozen of nuclear warheads. So 8 on each nuclear submarine, by the way. There is, I believe, 16 or 20 launchers on each Borei class Russian strategical missile carriers, for example, submarines. Let's say it's 16 launchers, right? I cannot remember exact number right now, but let's say it's 16 launchers. Each Russian Bulava missile, or whatever the missile is there, each Russian ICBM carries about dozen of warheads, right? So you can do math, dear friends. 8 submarines with let's say 16 launchers each. On each missile, dozen, let's say even, I don't know, 10 warheads. I think it's either 8 or 12 or something like that. But anyways, it's a lot, right? We are talking about hundreds and hundreds of nuclear warheads. And what is very important, dear friends, even though exercise is formally gonna last until 21st, it started on 19th and will last to 21st. But I'm quite sure Russian strategical forces gonna remain on standby. Exercises is a good opportunity, let's say, technically speaking, to increase readiness of the strategical forces without officially increasing readiness of the strategical forces. Because if you do it officially, you're gonna scare the hell out of everybody in this world, right? But when it's exercises, only specialists might pay much attention to it, right? But what exercises means, man? That's an actual increase of battle readiness, right? That's exactly what it is. And this increased readiness gonna stay in place after 21st, so that when Russian president comes back from China and when he green lights strikes on NATO member states that are targeting Russia, that are engaged directly in this war against Russian Federation, all of them will know, especially UK and France, that if they will think about attacking Russia for retaliation, if they will even think about attacking Russia with their nukes, Russian strategical forces will freaking incinerate them. Literally, right? UK and France will cease to exist if leadership of these countries will even think about using nukes against Russia. They wouldn't even be able to launch missile. Once Russian intelligence detects that there is some activity on their nuclear sites, probably we will launch first strike. Just saying, that's what I would do. If I was Russian president, I would say to my militaries, we are retaliating now. I'm greenlighting retaliation on all these NATO member states, all of them simultaneously to be attacked, right, with the conventional weaponry. We're not going to use nukes unless we have factual evidences that they are preparing nuclear strike on us. We're not going to use nukes until that, right? And so Russian militaries will strike, of course, and then if it happens that intelligence will tell me that, well, French nuclear submarines are getting ready. And of course, by the way, everybody should understand that Russian hunter submarines are tracking all nuclear capable French and British submarines. UK only has 4, right? 4 Vanguard class submarines, nuclear capable. I'm not sure if Brits can even launch their nukes without US authorization because they are using Minuteman III, I believe, ICBMs, right? This is a US missile. And so I don't know what's going on with UK, right? But nevertheless, right now from 4 out of 4 Vanguard class submarines, probably 1 is at sea somewhere. 3 others, these are garbage nuclear submarines. You should understand this. This is garbage, very old garbage crap, right? But nevertheless, that's what they have, right? And we should take it seriously nevertheless because they have nuclear capable missiles on the board. So probably only 1 Vanguard is somewhere in an open sea or some stuff. And I'm quite sure at least 1 Russian hunter submarine is right there and awaiting order to sink that can, right? To sink it. So it would not be able to launch any missiles. Same goes for France, by the way. I'm quite sure Russian nuclear submarines, Russian satellite intelligence is tracking movement of not just nuclear submarines of the France, but because France also has a nuclear triad, unlike UK, France also has a nuclear triad, right? It's not just nuclear submarines, but also Air Force that can carry nuclear munition, and also they have on the ground, right? Ground launcher missiles, I believe, that are capable of carrying nuclear weapons. So I'm quite sure Russian intelligence is monitoring all the areas where not just their submarines, not just aircraft carrier, Charles de Gaulle, but which might have some nukes on the board, maybe, right? Charles de Gaulle have to be neutralized. Anyways, if we are striking to neutralize their nuclear capabilities, we have to sink Charles de Gaulle too, for sure, alongside their nuclear submarines. And so we are monitoring. We know exactly where they are. And if there is any intelligence that they will activate the nuclear forces, I'm quite sure Russian strategical nuclear forces, Russian strategical forces that are going to be on standby will launch attack with the nuclear munition. That's what is going on, man. If France and UK will learn the lesson and will back down straight away, gooder. If they will try to strike on Russia with conventional weapons, we can deal with that aerial targets, and we will strike back even harder also with the conventional weapon, and we will continue to do so until Europe will capitulate, until globalists will capitulate. And as I said, in case they will look at their nukes, we will incinerate them, right? France and UK will cease to exist, period. And if it comes to actual full-scale war, by the way, between these globalist controlled European entities and the Russian Federation, then everyone should understand in Finland that Finland will cease to exist, Estonia will cease to exist, Latvia will cease to exist, Lithuania will cease to exist. Poland will be significantly smashed, right? Poland probably will remain in place, but in unrecognizable state. So people in these countries, all over the Europe, by the way, they should wake up, man. I'm saying how in every my update nowadays that they should wake up, because I don't want this to happen, man. I want everyone to understand me well, that I don't want this to happen. And in order to avoid such a scenario of exchange, direct or exchange between Russia and these NATO member states have to back down. They are attacking Russia. Everyone have to understand that it's a NATO countries that are attacking Russian Federation for many, many years now. And we are at the point when we no longer can tolerate this. And we will not tolerate this, right? At least that's how I see the situation. And let's wait when Putin will come back, by the way. Tomorrow, I believe he will come back, tomorrow or day after. Either way, when he will come back, I think shortly after, in a few days after, or maybe even in the same day, we will take some action against European NATO member states. So it is what it is, man. We don't want no war, but I mean Russian people. Nobody wants no war, by the way, but same time, vast majority of society wants Western ruling class to be deterred, because this is not normal when nuclear superpower is attacked by even these freaking non-entities, right? These freaking chihuahuas, rabid chihuahuas, man. Estonia, seriously? Estonia is attacking us, and what we gonna tolerate this shit? No, man, we're not gonna tolerate this. Impossible, right? And also, let me remind you, dear friends, that this autumn there is parliamentary elections. There is significant pressure on the Russian leadership, political pressure from within too. And I'm quite sure Russian president well informed about opinions here in public. People are angry. This does not mean that Russian president not has support. No, majority supports Russian president, and vast majority, I will argue, even people that don't support Putin personally or his party, even those people are expecting Russian president to finally greenlight Russian security services and militaries to restore deterrent. So there is a massive pressure, internal political pressure on Putin, on his inner circle, and I'm quite sure they understand that if they did not do nothing, if Russian president continues and Russian government continues the deterrent policies, right, then, well, autumn comes, elections, and the current ruling party, Единая Россия, might get, I don't know, 0.0% of the votes, or maybe 0.1% of the votes. Family members of these MPs probably will vote for this party. No one else will. Or maybe some very, very diehard supporters of the Единая Россия. Maybe they will vote. But, they will definitely have no chances to maintain majority in parliament. I don't think they want that, right? So that's what it is. There is a time, when it comes to time frame, my personal understanding is that probably Russian leadership will try to restore deterrent until St. Petersburg International Forum is taking place, because after all, today Zelensky this morning came up and said that he authorized already long-range strikes for June also. And you think what they're gonna do in regards to St. Petersburg? Of course, they will try to spoil this event. And the Kremlin knows this, right? So we have to restore deterrent until St. Petersburg's International Forum will take place from June 3rd to June 6th. I think that's how it's gonna be. Either way, deterrent has to be restored until parliamentary elections this autumn. Otherwise, ruling party Единая Россия really gonna get smoked, man. I mean, they're not gonna receive majority votes. They would not probably receive even, if we are objective, maximum what they can hope for if deterrent is not restored by autumn. Maximum what they can hope for is, I don't know, man, like 15%, maybe 20% max. But we will see, right? And so answer on the question why these European NATO member states and their leadership are not learning, answer is that unfortunately, they don't believe that we're going to take some action. They are stupid as hell. That's one thing. European elites, globalists and their puppet regimes, they are stupid as hell, and they're also emboldened, extremely emboldened, right? Because they crossed so many red lines. They targeted Russian nuclear triad on several occasions, by the way. We did nothing. They targeted Russian early warning radars, which is should be untouchable, right? They targeted Russian strategical aviation. Who knows? Maybe they try and targeted Russian nuclear submarines too. And the information just has not been shared with the public about it. So they are emboldened big time. So stupidity and extreme confidence is a bad recipe, and it's a recipe for total disaster, right? And that's the exact trajectory that Europe is heading, European NATO member states. So that's how it is. That's how it is. And as I said, the French Kiev regime, formally Kiev regime, in reality NATO member states are continuing to strike Russia with long-range weaponry. Number of drones were intercepted while they were approaching Moscow. And as I already mentioned, this morning also drones were flying towards the Leningrad region, obviously from territory of NATO countries, from Estonia this time around, I believe. Yes, we have to do something about it. We have to do something about it, and we will. So my prediction is that we will do it until June. We will restore deterrent. Let's see, by the way. Also, I want to share with you information about progress of the Russian Air Forces in the zone of special military operation. Yesterday, a number of sources, including, I believe, there was reports from Ministry of Defense too, that Russian Air Forces liberated another settlement in northern Kharkov region. Settlement is Volokhovka. This one, by the way, that you see right now on your screen. I said there earlier in my updates that liberation of the settlement is absolutely inevitable, because clearly Russian troops are moving forward to link different buffer zones that's already being created there in the Kharkov region and other regions too. In Sumy region, for example, the same process is taking place, although in Sumy, Russian troops simultaneously also advancing towards Sumy city itself. But when it comes to northern Kharkov region, you see all these gray zones and these red territories. This is territories controlled by Russian forces, and there are soon all these like five settlements, 6 settlements that are left to link these 2 buffer zones, Kruglaya direction and Volchansk buffer zone. Soon these settlements will be liberated, and the entire northern part of Kharkov region will be under Russian control, at least northeastern part of it, right? From Volchansk and towards the end of the border there. Also, what I wanted to share with you, dear friends, well, this is important. This is important stuff. Russia's Bureau 1440 is rolling out next generation satellite internet across 135 high-speed Lastichka and Sapsan trains nationwide, covering major routes including Moscow, St. Petersburg, Moscow, Minsk, and Krasnodar, Sochi. Subscriber terminal has already passed mechanical testing with the full service deployment before years, and notably, there are no reports yet of Bureau 1440 terminals being tested in the SMO zone, where reliable satellite comms remain a priority. And yes, officially there was no reports that this satellite internet from this company 1440 was used in the zone of special military operation. But dear friends, you have seen on my Telegram channel, for example, or my Twitter X page, or on other sources, videos when Russian drones are targeting deep in inside the Q-controlled territory. And this is happening, I think, and these drones are equipped with their video camera, right? So you can see flight path, you can see areas that being targeted, right? Today I saw, for example, video when Russian Iranian drone equipped with video camera targeted their German-made Gepard air defense system and incinerated this system. And I mean, logical question is what means of communication is being used on that Iranian drone? And I think one answer could be a military modification of terminals, satellite terminals of 1440, Bureau 1440 company. Or maybe there is some other means, right? But on daily basis, we are receiving more and more videos, by the way, right? From Zone of Special Military Operation and from Q-controlled territory about these deep strikes that Russian drones are conducting, and they are not using Starlink. So they must use something, isn't it? Because there is a video camera, and this drone is directed in a real time. So they must use something, right? And this something is Russian alternative satellite internet. And one of the options there could be this Bureau 1440. And there are some other companies too, by the way, that are working in this field. Let's keep that in mind too. But this is important. Bureau 1440 satellite internet terminals will be on these high-speed trains. These are high-speed trains, by the way. So that means that connection is really good. Connection between these terminals and satellites are really, really good to operate on freaking faster trains. So we are catching up. Of course, there is a long way to go to be on the same level, I think, as Starlink is, American Starlink is. But we will catch up soon. And when it comes to Starlink itself, I think one of the ways how we can retaliate on our enemies is to take out Starlink and take out Palantir, American companies. If I was Russian president, I will definitely prioritize. I will order to our security services, take them out. Do whatever is necessary. Make sure that people will scare to death to even enter the buildings of these terrorist companies. That's what I would do, man. I would fucking terrorize them. All of them, man. Elon Musk would afraid to come on the street, to go anywhere. That's what I will do to this bitch, who is directly guilty on death of thousands of Russian citizens. And Palantir, you think recently Palantir boss was in Ukraine for what purposes? They are using AIs for the targeting. Palantir is directly involved together with the Starlink, Elon Musk that is, right? With all these drone attacks that are happening on the Russian Federation and also on his own special military operation. They are very much integrated, Palantir and Starlink, and they are automatization of their strikes and exchange of information is very high. And I think both Starlink and Palantir are legit targets, absolutely legit targets, and everybody that works in these companies are terrorists, should be designated as terrorists and should be eliminated. My personal opinion, there are no civilians, neither in a Starlink, neither in a Palantir. Let's be clear on that. There are no civilians there. And dear friends, reports are that it was a Palantir, exactly, Palantir's programs that were used by American militaries when they were attacking Iran, and the strategy in Minab, when Americans killed 175 children in a school, this was done with the involvement of Palantir. So don't tell me, please, that they are innocents in the Palantir. No, they are not. Every Palantir employee is a legit target. and a mass murderer, literally mass murderer. Same goes for Starlink. That's how it is. Also, I want to share with you information, and it is time to deal with our enemies, man, without mercy. It is time to deal with our enemies, with enemies of Russian people and the Russian Federation without a mercy, right? Let's kill them all, for God's sake, right? Let's kill them all. Enemy is enemy, man. Let's stop messing around. Let's fucking kill them all, man. That's where I'm standing, right? And if it's a war, it's a war, man. Let's go on for, and then if it comes to mobilization, I'm freaking ready, man. You know, I'm ready. I know I'm dealing with some medical issues. May not be very effective on the battlefield, but I don't give a fuck, man. I can do something, right? I will try my best to kill as many enemies as I possibly can, right? Before they will kill me. Eventually, I will die, but fuck it. Everyone will die one day, right? I'll try my best to kill as many enemies as I possibly can, man, without any freaking mercy. Let's stop messing around, man. Enemy is enemy. We have to kill them all, literally, right? Or put in such a state of horror that they will kill themselves. That's the only two options there. Also, I want to share information about big, massive progress of the Russian aerospace forces. A few days ago, I shared information. I shared the image, actually, of two-seated Russian Su-57 fifth-gen fighter jets, a prototype. And, well, we have more information about it now. We have more information about it. In the Western so-called media field, maybe you see some jokes about that image, that it was AI generated and there was no way Sukhoi managed to do this and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? Sukhoi actually did it. You can see on your screen image of two-seated Russian Su-57 fifth-gen fighter jet, and I'm going to show you video also. But first, let's go through some details about report on this matter on RIA Novosti. The first test flight of their Su-57 fifth-generation two-seat fighter prototype took place. First Deputy Prime Minister Denis Manturov told the reporters, this aircraft developed proactively by our aircraft manufacturers will not only boost the unique combat capabilities, but also their functionality of a combat training aircraft and their capabilities of a combat control aircraft. He said the new aircraft was designated as a Su-57D. It was piloted by hero of Russia test pilot Sergei Bogdan, and by the way, Sergei Bogdan is a legendary, absolutely legendary pilot, test pilot, pilot that is respected worldwide by his colleagues, by experts, unique person. And he's old, man. He's, I believe, around 60 years old, and he's still able to pull off some extreme maneuvers, by the way, on this planes, right? 7, 8, 9 Gs. I mean, he can do it, which is unbelievable. I mean, if I'm in a plane, I'm like only 48, right? Soon to be 49. But well, if I'm in a cockpit of let's say two-seated 9G capable plane, and the pilot will pull off, I don't know, even 5, 6 Gs, maybe I will pass out. I will definitely not be able to withstand the freaking 7 or 8 or 9 Gs, I think, right? But Bogdan, even though he's in age, he's such a tough pilot, man, great pilot, right? He can do this, man. He performs some tremendous manners on these planes. Legendary person for sure. And dear friends, when it comes to Su-57s, you know the story. I spoke about it in the past, that India was very much interested in a two-seated version of the Su-57. There is years now, for years, there is a talks in place, right, between India and Russia on the topic of Su-57s. And the Indian side was prioritizing two-seated plane. They want prolongation, basically, of Su-30 fleet, right? And Su-57 will be a great upgrade, obviously, in this regard. And one should also keep in mind that originally Su-57, one-seated Su-57, is even though it has multitasker capabilities, obviously, but first and foremost, Su-57 is an air dominance fighter jet, right? First and foremost, it's a fighter jet with significant ground capabilities. But two-seated version, obviously, will be obviously more focused on multipolar tasks, on ground attacks, first and foremost, right? And that's what India wanted, right? Multi-role Su-57, because yet again, yes, original Su-57 can conduct ground attacks, and it does, by the way. In the zone of special military operation, Su-57s are conducting ground attacks too, with the long-range means, right? But still, it's a fighter jet first and foremost. And now Su-57Ds, of course, will provide air forces that will have these planes, these also additional capabilities of that plane can offer. So pilot will be focused on the piloting stuff, and second crew member will be focused on all the rest, right? Weapon deliveries and radio electronic warfare and all whatever else is there. So India gonna be happy about it, I think, and I expect once all the tests are finalized and the Su-57 is ready for a serial Su-57D two-seated version is ready for serial production. I think India will sign a contract with Russia. They will buy. That's how it usually happens. They will buy 3-4 dozen of planes from Russia, of Russian build, Russian production, and then assembly lines will be open in India for these planes, and India will produce additional 150 of these planes domestically, as it was case under the license, as it was case with the Su-30s. And India has more Su-30s, by the way, than Russia. I mean, this is quite interesting, isn't it? India has more Su-30 multi-role fighter jets than Russia. More than 200 is in Indian Air Force, I believe, right? Around 200, probably more than that. And they are very happy with it. India is very happy with their Su-30s, and worldwide experts are acknowledging that probably Su-30 is one of the best, if not the best, multi-role platform of 4++ generation right now. So when it comes to Su-57, also I want to share with you a video, by the way, of this first test flight, takeoff and landing. I know I have a short video of it, so that's a video. In Zhukovsky, by the way. This was filmed. Preparation of Su-30D to take off. This is Bogdan, by the way, legendary Russian pilot. And take off. And this plane does not look to me on its early stages of development. This plane looks to me like quite complete one, right? So probably in secrecy, this plane was in the process of development for quite a while, and now decision was made to make it public because it looks complete, absolutely complete, man. Look at it. Wonderful plane, isn't it? Absolutely. Bogdan, Sergei Bogdan, right? Legendary pilot. Engineers, experts from Sukhoi Constructor Bureau. Yeah, wonderful piece of engineering equipment for sure, by the way. And on this matter, Nitish Kumar is commenting right now, and let's react. Nitish is commenting on this topic exactly. Levan, you are understanding it wrong. Indian pilots need a two-seater for evaluation for unmanned teaming, not for multi-role purpose. Exactly. Maybe, but multi-role purpose probably going to be key there. Multi-role purpose probably going to be key there because Nidish, it's not secret that India has extremely high rate of aerial incidents, right? Incidents with their air force. I don't know why, but India is losing dozens of planes and the helicopters every single year. India is losing in peacetime more planes in a single year than some countries during the war times, right? And two-seaters, maybe this is unofficial or something, but as far as I can tell, India is prioritizing two-seaters maybe just for insurance, right, purpose, because even though originally it's a one pilot, one board mechanic, right? Both can pilot a plane, both can take off and land the plane, right? And I believe with Su-30s, for example, there was not that many incidents in Indian Air Force. Not that many incidents. Am I wrong? I don't remember Su-30 crashes in India. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember any Su-30 being lost by India due to poor piloting or crash or something like that, right? And so I think one of the reasons why India is more focused on two-seater planes is to just increase the survivability of these planes, right? Because it's extremely expensive stuff, and they don't want to lose these planes as they do with their as they did with many others in the past, right? Also, as a training plane, yes, it can serve as a trained plane too, but I don't think Sukhoi would invest hundreds of millions of dollars to develop a two-seated version just for a training, just to build a training plane for the train, right? To train the other pilots, because for that Yak 131 modernized version of Yak 131 is doing the job, right? It can train the pilots for Su-57s also, Su-35s, Su-57s, right? So, and it just makes no sense to build a training plane just if you have no intention to go for a full multi-role fighter jet, right? So I think there will be modifications of it. If there is serial production, why not to build a couple of training planes also, but mostly multi-role fighter jets. And there are also interesting nuance on хвостовое оперение, how we say that in English. On the plane, by the way, there was a marks, right? On these two-seated Su-57s, there was a marks of two missiles, unknown origin of missiles, that probably are developed exactly for Su-57. Also, S-70 Okhotnik, Russian stealth drone, also going to be wingman, kind of these Su-57s. There was a picture of that too. And there are Su-75 too. No, checkmate. Plane. So I guess works on Su-75 continues, and soon we might get some news about that plane too. Russian one-engine, fifth gen fighter jet, Su-75. So let's see how it's gonna be. Also, dear friends, I want to continue with some other news. Also, I want to continue with some other news, and well, good-looking plane, man. What can I say, right? RIA Novosti is reporting that the European bureaucracy still continues to bureaucracy still continues to discuss the candidacies of the people that they might send as negotiators with Russia. And well, according to Financial Times, a former Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi and the former German Chancellor Angela Merkel are being considered as possible candidates. Angela Merkel should not be taken seriously ever by anybody, right? This whore, sorry for my French, but this whore said it openly, isn't it, that Minsk 1 and Minsk 2 agreements were just a deception, right, to better prepare Kiev regime, armed Kiev regime, to buy some time, basically. She acknowledged this openly. So she's an enemy of Russian people, she's an enemy of Russia, and I hope no one from Russian leadership will even think about standing next to this filth. When it comes to Mario Draghi, I can't remember. This is this person really, what his stance were, but I don't really see a reason to have any dialogue with the European elites now, right? We are heading towards the war, so what is the point to waste time talking to these nobodies, man? War is inevitable, right? War is inevitable, direct clashes are inevitable, and why should we spend any freaking time talking to these freaking nobodies? I don't get it, really. Let's force them to submission. Let's take care of globalist control regimes. Once they will capitulate, right? Once they are on their knees, then we can talk. But until then, no, thanks. No, that's what I think about this matter. And these European elites, by the way, also were considering Kaja Kallas #1 diplomat of Europe, and that says it all, actually, right? I don't think there is any more discussions necessary. I mean, Kaja Kallas is the #1 diplomat in Europe. Is there anything really to add, right? Nothing. That says it all. But nevertheless, some media outlets, so-called media in the West, some public figures, politicians, and so on, were pushing this candidacy of Kaja Kallas also. And Russian representative in UN, Nebezhny, Russian diplomat Valery Nebezhny, said, and this is this is quote, suggestion that Kaja Kallas could serve as a mediator between Russia and Ukraine is nothing short of a joke. And he's 100% correct, right? He's 100% correct. At this point, I don't think there is any I don't think there is any need to have any dialogue with European elites, right? Because they are clearly extremely hostile. They are clearly they are clearly inadequate, right? Let's be real here. European elites are inadequate, and only people with whom they're gonna talk is psychiatrists. So, if they don't have psychiatrists in Europe, maybe we can help them with that, right? We can send some psychiatrists so that they will deal with those insane elements in Europe, but we cannot take them seriously, right? We cannot have their serious talk with their mentally ill elements, right? And the statement of Vasily Nebezhny is quite a far-reaching one. That's what I think that's our take. That's Russia's take. Absolutely understandable one and correct one. We don't need to talk to these nobodies. Let's, because war is inevitable, you know what? Let's beat the crap out of these criminals, force them to submission, eliminate as many as we will find necessary. Let's put them in submission. And once they are on their knees and apologizing, then we can think what to do next, right? But maybe we will decide to help European peoples to free themselves, right, from these corrupt criminals that are basically hijacked European states. Maybe that will be the direction. But to talk with the globalists or globalist puppets makes no sense, man. Makes no sense, right? Absolutely. We have to kill them all, man. We just have to kill globalists. We have to kill globalist puppet regimes, right? In a художественном смысле, how should I say, man? I don't want to look too hostile or too aggressive, so therefore, I mean not literally, but I mean literally. Okay, by the way, we have to take them out, man. It is what it is, right? We have to exterminate European aristocracy. European aristocracy is a menace, and European aristocracy has to be literally exterminated. And all the groups, financial, industrial, whatever, all the other groups that are serving European aristocracies, and European aristocracies are backbone of the globalists. First and foremost, of course, British aristocracy, but generally speaking, European aristocracy is a backbone of the globalists, right? They have to kill them all, or literally kill them all. Some people might don't like it, but this is true, man. This is true. And by doing so, we will help European people, man, greatly, greatly, to finally reclaim their own countries, in which they have no say. Just a couple of days ago, man, I saw a report in UK, 30 people are arrested every single day for some tweets, man. 30 people every day are arrested in UK, in a country that loves to lecture others about freedom of speech and democracy. 30 people are arrested on average for freaking tweets. So don't tell me that British people are free, man. They are not free, right? Don't tell me German people are free, or French people, or Italian people. No, man. So therefore, we will do for them a great favor if one way or another we will neutralize European aristocracies and all the groups that are linked to them, related to them, right? Globalists have to be exterminated, period. That's how it is. Now, when it comes to China, visit to China of Russian president, Putin and Xi Jinping summed up the results of their talks in Beijing. RIA Novosti is reporting. Let me give you some details. So Putin and Xi Jinping summarized the results of their talks in narrow and expanded formats. They discussed the future of bilateral cooperation and their positions of Moscow and Beijing on the global stage. Russia and China share their common goal, their prosperity and the well-being of their peoples, and so their relations have successfully passed tests of the strength and their resilience on numerous occasions, Putin stated during these talks with Xi Jinping. This is quote, "Our relations are self-sufficient and serve as a model of how to build interaction between the countries." Okay. Thus, Moscow and Beijing have created a stable system of mutual trade. In 2025, bilateral trade turnover reached almost $240 billion, And virtually all payment transactions between the countries are conducted in rubles and yuans. Uh, Also not bad. Also not bad, of course. Trade can be higher, actually, right? There is massive, huge potential. But okay, 240 billion trade, not bad, not too bad. Let's say we have built a stable system of mutual trade that is protected from external influence and negative trends in the global market. Putin also said there. Furthermore, Russia is one of the largest exporters of oil, natural gas, including liquefied gas and coal to China. Cooperation is also underway in the nuclear energy sector. Construction of Russian-designed power units is nearing completion at the Taiwan, not Taiwan Island, by the way, but Tianwan nuclear power plant and Kudapu nuclear power plant. Well, we are building nuclear power plants in China, by the way. That's quite something too. The countries are also working to strengthen their partnership in the area of critical elements and their metals to facilitate their wider adoption of green technologies. Their president emphasized reciprocal tourist flows are growing. This is facilitated by the reciprocal visa-free travel regime. In 2025, more than 2 million Russians arrived in China. Over a million Chinese citizens visited Russia. Okay, man, I'm a bit surprised. More Russians went to China than Chinese came here. Really? What the hell, man? Come on, China. You are 1.5 billion people, man. Come visit Russian Federation. See it yourself. But it will take some time. It will take some time, and more Chinese will come, and it's gonna be good for Russian tourist business, of course. So it's all good. It's all good. The damage caused by the unilateralism and their hegemony still affect the entire world. It is undergoing profound changes and the risks returning to the law of the jungle. Xi Jinping stated during these talks, against this backdrop, the progressive nature of the practical value of the Chinese-Russian Treaty of Good Neighbor lines, friendship and cooperation are more clearly evident, and this treaty, by the way, was prolonged, I believe. It was a 25-year treaty, and it was prolonged, understandably so, which is a good stuff. According to Xi Jinping, Moscow and Beijing have long adhered to their principle of non-alignment. Even now, as their bilateral relations have reached new heights, they must be each other's strategic bulwark. It is necessary to deepen interaction and cooperation in multilateral forums such as UN, SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, BRICS, APEC, to unite their countries of a global south, Xi Jinping said. Following the talks, the leaders adopted the joint statement on further strengthening their partnership and deepening bilateral relations. They also signed another conceptual document, a joint declaration of the development of a multipolar world. Putin and Xi Jinping also officially opened years of Russian-Chinese cooperation in education, and this is all good, by the way. Of course, this is all good, but this is what is public. Most important and most interesting is what stays behind the closed doors, right? And unfortunately, we're not gonna get information about nuances, details that two presidents discuss about Ukrainian crisis, about this proxy war that West is waging against Russia. Of course, sides spoke in details about developments in the Middle East. I'm quite sure Russian delegation, maybe not Putin directly, personally, spoke about it with Xi Jinping, but I'm quite sure in Russian delegation there were people that are from most likely from security services, high-ranking people from security services that met their Chinese colleagues and let them know that soon Moscow is going to take care of European NATO member states, and China should know about it, right? As a strategical partner, Russia is just probably Russia informs China about it, right? To make sure that it's not going to come as a surprise. That's what strategical partners should do, actually, right? Maybe Putin and Xi Jinping even spoke about some stuff, right? Behind the closed doors. Maybe, maybe not. But I'm quite sure there were some people in the Russian delegation that let their Chinese counterparts know that soon Russia will take care of European NATO member states. Restraint policy of Moscow is finished. And as I said in the beginning, dear friends, I think Russia will retaliate on European NATO member states that are targeting Russian Federation on a daily basis and are guilty of death of thousands of Russian citizens. Russia will retaliate on those NATO member states before June, before this summer, and that is in next 10 days. Am I precise enough? So we will find out. We will find out. And dear friends, there was, of course, a big delegation of high-ranking Russian officials with the Putin, businessmen and so on. And there are talks now that there will be increasing the cooperations in multiple directions. In economical areas, China and Russia probably will build together high-speed railways now, which is good. There will be some Chinese investments, increasing Chinese investments in certain directions. Okay, that's also fine. There will be increasing the cooperation when it comes to production of the manufacturing of their vehicles here in Russia, right? China will invest heavy in that too. Also, there were reports about plans to further increase military cooperation between the sides and many, many other things, of course. Most definitely a visit of Russian president, even though it's not finished yet, but already it looks much more productive based on information that we learn. It definitely looks much more productive than recent Trump's visit to China, as it was expected, by the way, really. Relationships between Russia and China, of course, cannot be compared. Friendly relationships between Russia and China cannot be fully compared with their hostile relationships that China and US has because of their American hostility. Not because of the Chinese hostility, but American ruling class is a hostile, so it has its mark, of course, on their ties. Anyways, a few more news, dear friends. But before I continue, there was two super chats on Rumble. Don't go anywhere, dear friends. I have some interesting news, interesting updates on Middle Eastern crisis. I will just highlight these two super chats from Rumble, and then a couple of more news. And dear friends, I don't read the super chats up front, right? So my reactions are always like first-hand reactions, right? So there was a super chats from Scooby, two super chats. Thank you very much, Scooby, for your super chats and their dollar donation during each super chat. In first super chat, Scooby is commenting, if Russia and China could develop enough trust to focus on comparative advantages instead of competing with each other in technology or military, they'd have a far greater success. No, well, yes and no. I don't think we are really competing. in strategical areas. Russian military development is far ahead of Chinese military industrial complex. So I mean, there is not really competition there. Let's be real, right? I mean, China is a big superpower, of course. Technologically, China is competing with US. You might argue. Right? But I mean, when it comes to military industrial complex that you mentioned, military technologies, there is no competition really. I mean, we might share some knowledge on some topics with Chinese. If we are doing the same with the Indian side, let's say, because it's a very nuanced relationship that are taking place between Russia, China, and India, isn't it? If we share something with China, some technology, for example, we have to make sure that India knows about it, and India is also has these capabilities. And in order to make sure that relationships between Russia and India is not damaged, right? So I can understand that there might be some directions where China would love to increase cooperation, especially in terms of military industrial cooperation between military industrial complexes. But Russia might say no, exactly because of factor of Indian factor, right? But I don't think we are really competing. We both are self-sufficient in many ways, right? In terms of civilian technologies, China probably is much. I mean, in terms of civilian technologies, AI, for example, robotics and stuff, China is much more advanced. Chinese companies are much more advanced than Russian companies. In general terms, I mean, of course, there are nuances there too, but in terms of military industrial complex, we are like leading powerhouse, right? So there is no competition there. I mean, what we're going to compete, man? China is unable to build their ICBM that is capable of range, that will have a range more than 10,000 kilometers, for example. While just a few days ago, we tested successfully Sarmat ICBM, heavy ICBM, which has a basically unlimited range, 30,000 plus. So you see there, I mean, there is not really competition. When it comes to hypersonic weaponry, well, Russia is leading the charge. When it comes to Air Force, we are far superior than Chinese aerospace industry. Some might argue J-20 is a better stealth plane than Su-57. This is all BS, by the way. This is all BS. Let's be real. There were reports some time ago that Indian Su-30s were detecting J-20s, right? Indian Su-30 MKIs were able to detect Chinese J-20s when J-20s were getting closer to Indian airspace, right? And close, I mean 100 kilometers away and beyond, right? Because we should keep in mind it's a mountainous freaking area right there in the border. I see 75 WRDMRI is commenting, asking 30,000 kilometers. No, not this one. 30K ICBM range. It's yes, it's unlimited range. Sarmat is designated as a global range ICBM because it can literally fly in any direction. You program it, right, and the range is 35,000 kilometers. Formally, although it's a global range, right? This is our second weapon system in the world which has a global range. First one is Russian Burevestnik, which has nuclear propulsion system. So therefore, it's a global range because it can fly for I don't know, 1 month on end, 2 months on end. No one really knows how long it can fly, right? Because it has nuclear propulsion system. So Russia is already in that category when we are creating global range weaponry, while Chinese maximum range of Chinese ICBMs are 10,000 kilometers, right? Chinese nuclear submarines cannot strike US. Chinese ICBMs cannot strike US East Coast right now if they are not entering blue ocean, right? Blue waters. From a Chinese coastal line, they can't. They have to go deep into ocean, and once they are in the ocean, of course, they are potentially easy target for US Hunter submarines. So that's how it is. But nevertheless, we should cooperate. I'm all about increased cooperation between Russia and China, of course. And also, Scooby is commenting, Elon Musk said piloted planes will become obsolete in years to come. Are they worth their investment at this time? Oh, yes, because there is too much of emphasis on automatization and AI and internet right now in the world, but people kind of are forgetting that you know what, all it takes is, let's say, 20 nuclear explosions in the atmosphere over the US, and you will have no electricity in US. You will have nothing electric left in US. Most of everything in US will die, literally. Equipment, that is, right? Most of equipment in US will die due to these high charge particles, right? EMAs. People are forgetting that nuclear explosion in atmosphere generates tremendous wave of discharged particles, isn't it? Electromagnetic pulse, that is, right? Electromagnetic impulse. And it will EMP, electromagnetic pulse, yes, and that will decimate all the electric stuff. 20 nuclear explosions in atmosphere over the US, and that's it. And what you're gonna do? What Elon Musk gonna do in that case? Can anybody tell? So he is a stupid man. He was a successful. He's been used as a talking head and front man by globalists, right, to parade him left and right, and he probably began believing in himself and acting extremely irresponsibly. He probably started believing that he's a freaking genius. He's a freaking nobody, right? More I learn about Elon Musk, the more confident I am that he's a freaking nobody. And most CEOs in IT companies in US, high-tech companies, are either mentally ill or very close to that state. Honestly, man, take a look at the Palantir boss and what he's talking about and what he says, and take a look at the Palantir itself, what they do, man. So Elon Musk is freaking nobody, man. Why you care what this idiot has to say, really? Honestly. All it takes 20 nukes in the atmosphere in US and you will not be able to drive a freaking car. Nothing to be said about planes and stuff, man. Right? That's why I never believed in these cryptocurrencies and stuff, because all this crypto stuff is dependent on our machinery, right? On the computing power. One EME, I mean, over there, some major database, and your crypto is just disappearing. So too much emphasis, man. Too much emphasis on this AI stuff, on internet, on automatization, and so on. And I guess this is intentional. This is done intentionally to hype up, or basically to to inflate the value of these companies, right? Because do you really, how can anybody believe that Nvidia, company that owns nothing, can be worth like 4 trillion plus? It makes no sense, isn't it? It literally makes no sense. But, you know, and there was also another there was also this another super chat from Scooby. Let me react on this too, because we were just talking about this topic. Scooby is also adding Chinese drone swarm capability seems far beyond that of Russia's TVN. Well, there can be, I mean, there can be certain segments in which China might develop some technology that others will take a look at and maybe copy. The swarm drone technology could be one of them, but yet again, there is too much emphasis on the drones too. EMPs, right? I believe era of these FPV drones and drones, drone swarms is coming to the end without even beginning, because it's a logical next step to deal with the drones is to develop a portal EMP generator, right? And you can disable these drones easy, right? You can just fry their chips on significant distances. So therefore, yes, maybe in the drone technologies, China is developing something that can be useful. Western propaganda is pushing now this crazy narrative that Russian militaries went to China to learn drone warfare, which is, for God's sake, man, and people in the West probably believing in this nonsense, right? If it was the other way around, okay, makes sense, right? If Chinese are coming to Russia to learn something about modern warfare, including drone warfare, but to say that Russians are going in China, what Chinese know about modern warfare, man? Last time they fight was with Vietnam in 70s, right? If I remember correctly. What Chinese know about warfare, man? Really? Nothing. So I'm talking about some serious stuff, Scooby, when I'm talking comparing military-industrial complex. I mean, submarine technologies, right? Russian submarines are like generations ahead of Chinese submarines. Russian ICBMs are generations ahead of Chinese ICBMs. And I'm talking about that serious stuff. I'm not talking about some toys, right? And that's what these drones really are. These toys were weaponized. And it was very effective on the battlefield, and still are in certain ways, in certain sense. But as soon as these portative EMP weapons will be not just developed, they already are developed, but will be mass produced and deployed on the front lines, that's about it, right? You can fry these incoming drones with the one click on the bottom. With what click, literally, that's it. So nevertheless, I mean, there is many fields in which Chinese are beyond us, for example, in terms of technologies, and we can lot to learn. For example, high-speed railway technology. I mean, goodness me, man, China has thousands and thousands and thousands of miles of high-speed railway. And we only have like, I don't know, Moscow, St. Petersburg, one line. And that's about it. And maybe Moscow, Kazan, Moscow, Ekaterinburg. There was at least ideas to build high-speed railways. I don't know, was those railways built or not? But we are far behind, for example, in terms of that civilian technology. And there is a lot to learn, for sure, right? I'm not at all saying that we can nothing learn. There is nothing to learn from China. There is a lot to learn from China, for sure. And hopefully we will, by the way. Hopefully we will. It will be very beneficial, of course. And let's continue, dear friends, with some other news now. Thank you, Scooby, for your super chats there. And I want to share, dear friends, with you this information that is coming from US Vice President J.D. Vance, who stated basically that the US is against Russia taking over Iran's uranium reserves. He claims that this was never part of Americans' plan. And you know what? I believe I can give you a short video of this statement, and then I'll give you a comment on that. Oh, goodness me, man. Okay, I don't have a video. I don't have a video, but I've seen the video when Vance is saying literally that they have no interest if Russia will take over, or if Russia will remove basically uranium from Iran. And you know why J.D. Vance is saying this, isn't it? Because he knows, his boss knows, everybody in the West knows, among ruling class and their puppets, that once Iran's enriched uranium is in Russia, they don't no longer have a talking point. Western world no longer has a talking point to justify aggression against Iran. And of course they are against it, but who gives a damn what they are for or against? I think Tehran and Moscow are gonna go ahead and finalize this agreement, which is in place already, I believe, because you know, yesterday I shared this information that well, Iran wants to hand over nuclear stockpile to Russia, right? According to media reports, and hopefully, Tehran and Moscow will go ahead with this agreement, bilateral agreement, and the operation. UN should send IAEA experts to monitor this process so that there are no questions that all enriched uranium is being removed, right? And that is that. We should not pay any attention what J.D. Vance is saying, or what Trump is saying, or what Western ruling class is saying. We just don't care, man. Iran right now don't really need this enriched uranium. They needed it to be members of this club of countries with the latent nuclear deterrent, but it did not deter nothing. Capabilities of enriched uranium and demonstration of that while enriching these 400 kilos or whatever up to 60% did not really deter Israel and US, right? So therefore, there is no need for Iran to have this enriched uranium right now in their hands. So better to transfer it to Russian side. That will kill only talking point. Western world has to justify this aggression, right? And Iran will be in a stronger position politically, diplomatically, right? And this is important, very important. And if new leadership, new supreme leader of Iran, Muqtada Khamenei, will decide sometime in the future that they're going to build the nuclear weapons, okay, they can do it, right? They don't need this 400 kilo of enriched uranium. They can enrich uranium whenever they want because they have expertise. They have knowledge and expertise how to do this, right? So Iran is losing nothing, literally nothing, if enriched uranium is being transferred to Russia. Tehran's stance will become even more stronger, in my personal opinion. And I think leadership of Iran understands this perfectly well, and that's why soon I think Iran's enriched uranium gonna be transferred to Russian Federation. And as time goes by, I'm more and more confident that this mysterious flotilla that left Russia around 9th of May, mysterious flotilla, which includes 2 warships, six transport vessels, right, and the 2 assistant vessels. I think this flotilla is heading towards Iran to do exactly that, to remove enriched uranium. That's what I think. And yet again, who gives a damn what Western ruling class or their puppets like J.D. Vance or Trump or anyone else has to say about it, right? If they go ahead and with some provocations, then we should retaliate, right? But I don't think they're gonna target Russian flotilla, by the way, or Russian engineers that will remove this uranium, right? So it is what it is, man. And I think it is necessary to make this agreement public. It's not enough that Abbasarachi said recently, a few days ago, that the Russian president discussed with him a few weeks ago when Abbasarachi was in St. Petersburg, the topic of removing enriched uranium from Iran to Russia. Of course, they discussed this. Probably agreement also is in place, and let's make it open, clear, public for everybody, right? Why we are so weak in this public relations stuff, man? Why we are so freaking weak in public relations? Let's tell everybody. Let's make it clear for whole world that Russia and Iran have a reached agreement to move enriched uranium to Russia. Therefore, Iran will once again confirm peaceful purposes of its nuclear program, and U.S. leadership can sleep happy, right? Sleep in peace, and be sure that Iran not going to develop nuclear weapons, as Trump loves to say. Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. Okay, by the way, right? You are articulating with enriched uranium. There is no more enriched uranium in Iran. We are taking it. That's what we should do, man. But we are unbelievably freaking weak. I mean Russia first and foremost, right? Iranians are doing much better than we do, man, when it comes to public relations. Just this one company with the Lego videos, man, they gain hearts and minds of tens of millions of people worldwide, right, with their videos. While take a look at us, man. In alternative media, I only know, in segment of news and politics, I only know my channel and Stanislav Krapivnik's channel, right? In English segment. And that's it. That's it, man. And the rest is, I don't know, all the media outlets, especially state-run media outlets, they have an English version, but it does not look like they are doing very good job, man, to to reach out to the public out there in the world, right? Iran is doing much better job than us, but overall we can do better, man. We can do better. Let's make this public, this information, right? And tell the world that everybody can chill the fuck out, right? Because Iran will have no nuclear weapons because Russia is taking this freaking enriched uranium from there, which was never intended for a nukes in the first place, but just to make sure that no one gonna have a freaking heart attack, right? We will take this uranium and that is that. Okay, so yes, they understand, man. You think why J.D. Vance commented on this matter? They understand what's going on, right? They know they're gonna lose a last talking point. Or the talking point they have, actually. This enriched uranium and Iran cannot have nuclear weapons, because topic of Iran can ballistic missiles not gonna work, man. To demand from Iran to get rid of ballistic missiles is the same to demand from any country to get rid of freaking rifles. It's none of your freaking business. It's a missile is a missile. Nuclear weapons is a whole different story, right? And much more scary than anything else. So that's why J.D. Vance is commenting that on this issue that Washington is against the removal of enriched uranium by Russia. Who gives a damn, man? Go kill yourself, J.D. Vance, whore of the slut of Palantir, right? J.D. Vance is a slut of Palantir, by the way. We all know this, right? This creature does not deserve any freaking respect whatsoever. I was thinking this guy might be somewhat decent personality, but take a look at him, man. Freaking clown, right? If he had any decency or dignity, first and foremost, he would not be part of a system And secondly, he would definitely would not be chosen to be vice president. But because he was chosen and he was a part and he is a part of a system, that already tells you that he is a freaking corrupt freaking creature. That's it. Without any dignity, decency, humanity. Meanwhile, RIA Novosti is reporting that Iran has threatened the United States with opening a new fronts if aggression continues, if the enemy commits a stupid act and fails into Israel's trap again displaying aggression against our dear Iran, we will open new fronts for them with the new methods and the levels. The Fars news agency reported their statement from a spokesman of IRGC or Iranian army, Mohammed Akramina. And you know what? I have no doubts, man, that Iran has a capability to take action against legit US targets, not just in the Middle East, but also on American soil and on European soil, even in Asia. One should understand that all US military assets, for example, no matter where these assets are located, all US military assets are legit target. With exception, we can make an exception for a nuclear triad. That's a whole different story. But outside of this nuclear triad, that should not be touched. Everything else is a legit target. Everything else. And you know, US has 800 plus military bases all over the world, right? Including in Europe. So when Iranians say that they're going to open new fronts, Americans should listen, because Iranians already demonstrated time and again that when they say something, they actually mean it. They mean that something, right? And Iranians were saying since I remember myself, that if they attacked by Americans, they will take out US assets throughout the region. They did it, but somehow US leadership is coming out and saying, but how shameless those people are, man. They are coming out and publicly saying that they didn't expect Iran to attack US assets in the region, in these neighboring countries. Really? How stupid are you, for God's sake, that don't understand that while saying this nonsense, you are embarrassing your freaking self. I'm talking about Trump and everybody else out there in Trump's administration. That's for saying that they did not expect that Iran will retaliate. Really? Goodness me, man. So Iranians should be taken seriously, man. They are not messing around. They are not messing around. And when it comes to losses that US already had, of course, real numbers are classified, and Pentagon lies and will continue to do so. But at least as of now, we have some list of lost equipment by at least aerial equipment by US that is being acknowledged. The US Congress published their version of official aircraft losses during the Operation Epic Fury. So this information is coming from US Congress. So F-15E Strike Eagles, 4 planes were neutralized, right? Lost by America. 4 F-15E Strike Eagles. 1 F-35A Lightning II 5th gen allegedly stealth fighter jet was damaged, according to US Congress. A-10 Thunderbolt II ground attack plane was lost. 1 KS-135 Stratotanker aerial refueling tankers, basically. 2 was destroyed, 5 was damaged. According to Congress, E-3 AWACS plane, which is an early warning plane. You know, these planes are massive planes that have this freaking dish on top, radar. So 1 was damaged, allegedly damaged, right? According to Congress. And well, to let you to give you an indicator how level of how untrustworthy these people are, man, in US leadership. Look what they call damaged. This is a E-3 plane that, according to US Congress, was damaged. Can you call this, whatever you see on your screen, whatever remains from that E-3, would you call it a damage or destroyed? Honestly, man, is this a damaged plane? For God's sake, this is destroyed plane, right? That never gonna fly again, ever. So that's what they call damaged, man. These freaking psychos. And unfortunately, majority in US probably they would not care or will buy this nonsense, right? Because, yeah, propaganda. MS-130J Commando 2 plane 2 was lost. You know, that ground operation that US went for when probably they tried to reach place where they were thinking Iran had enriched uranium. They failed miserably. And they lost quite a number of equipment, including these 2 aircrafts, MS-130 Commando 2 aircraft, which are basically these Hercules planes, right? Anyways, HH-60V Holy Green 2, 1 was damaged. HH-60 is also Black Hawk, right? Modification of Black Hawk helicopter. MQ-9 Reaper, 24 MQ-9 Reapers were destroyed. This is acknowledged officially by US. A real number is much higher, I believe. MQ-4C Triton, 1 lost. And this Triton, MQ-4C Triton drone, by the way, costs $200 to $300 million, I believe, each. And when it comes to E-3 AWACS plane, it's $300 to $500 million for one single plane. So based on this list here, you can calculate easily that, you know, even based on acknowledged losses, number is in billions, right? They are acknowledging that 24 MQ-9 Reaper drones were lost. Each cost $30 to $35 million, right? So you have $300 million right there. But yet again, whenever they say damaged, keep in mind what they mean by this. That's what they call damaged, man. These people have no shame. Really, man. People in US leadership, in administration, in Congress, and in the states, they have no shame, man. They have no shame. Total scumbags, man. That's what they are. Anyways, let's continue. A couple of more news, dear friends. Well, Russia's national currency, ruble, is the world's best performing currency this quarter, up 12% against the dollar since April, and now trading at 70 ruble for a dollar. It's the strongest level since February 2023, according to Bloomberg data. And I know this news that ruble is doing this strong with the dollar didn't went down well in the West. Among public that pay attention to this stuff, some went even hysterical. I saw some commentaries, by the way, about it. But okay, I don't care about their hysteria in the West, but what I do care is Russian economy, and I'm not quite sure this strong ruble is actually good for Russian economy, man. We are export-oriented economy, and leaders of Russian business quite directly, basically, are saying that ideally, ruble should be around 100, 110 rubles. I mean, exchange rate should be about 100, 110 rubles for a dollar. That's for leaders when it comes to Russian economy, leading companies, export-oriented companies. And you might say, well, if ruble is 100, 110 for a dollar, then there will be hiking inflation. And well, maybe, but maybe not, because ruble several months ago, some time ago, man, ruble actually was on 100 and 110 levels for a dollar. And there are many businesses already use the opportunity to inflate the prices, right? And when ruble becomes stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, you think prices drop? No, prices did not really drop, at least on vast majority of stuff, right? So, I mean, I'm quite sure Russian government has enough tools now in hands to weaken the ruble a little bit to assist not just the Russian economy, leading Russian businesses, but also Russian federal budget for that matter, and same time to keep businesses in check, to make sure that they're not gonna speculate and inflate the prices again, because they already did it. So that's quite on one hand, news sounds like great stuff, isn't it? Russian ruble is getting stronger and stronger, but in reality, man, I know we still have inflation. We still have inflation, and I think real inflation is much higher than official stats, because I don't know how officials are coming up with their 5-6% number, by the way. Inflation is higher than that, right? It may not be like 30% or even 20%, but inflation is higher. We feel inflation, right? When we go into store, we freaking feel it. We can see it, by the way, right? Today, I go into a store, grocery store, and I buy some little stuff, little food, and I will spend 2,000-3,000 rubles easy, right? And when I come home, I'm looking at the stuff I brought, and what the hell, man? That's 2,000-3,000. While a year ago, I could buy like probably twice more stuff. So we feel inflation. So ruble is getting stronger, inflation is still freaking high. And because of the strong ruble, federal budget is dealing with more issues than it would in case of weaker ruble. And the Russian export-oriented companies, these giants, also are whining about this strong ruble. So I don't know, man. Central Bank and Finance Ministry and Economical Bloc, they have to do something, man. This is not good. And I don't take no arguments that, well, is good for economy. It's not, man. Strong ruble is not good for export-oriented Russian economy. After all, China was, for decades, by the way, keeping yuan weak for decades to have a competitive advantage on the world market. And one of the reasons why Western world was complaining about China was exactly that China is keeping its yuan very weak intentionally. And they were doing this because Chinese economy is also export-oriented economy, as Russian is, right? But Russian economical bloc, Russian economical leaders, for whatever reason, they, at least as of now, don't really doing much to deal with this trend. And ruble is getting too freaking strong, man, really. It will damage, it will not influence much inflation. It will not, right? It will only harm. So I don't think there is anything good in this. Some people in the West was very much upset about this stuff. How Russian ruble is doing this good? Because they don't really think much about stuff. Some people think stronger currency is necessarily, always good, but it's not really case always. Anyways, by the way, when it comes to Russian financial system, towards the end of this month, I expect central bank to drop interest rate for another 0.5%, which will also have almost no impact on economy. right? If they will drop interest rates for 2%, maybe that will have some impact, but 0.5%, it's a joke, man, right? But yeah, let's see, by the way. That's my prediction. Today is the 20th of May. Towards the end of month, probably there will be another drop in interest rate by central bank, and I expect it to be 0.5% again, man. Economy would not even notice whatsoever. Also, two more news, dear friends. Two more news, and this is it for now. Georgia, and I mean Georgia state in the Southern Caucasus, not the Georgia state in the US. So Georgia, a former Soviet republic, has announced Britain's demands to stop importing Russian oil products. So British government demanded that Georgian authorities influence local businesses to refuse Russian oil products, which would ultimately lead to economic collapse, stated Parliament Speaker in Georgia, Shalva Papuashvili. As reported by Vzglyad newspaper correspondent in Tbilisi, the current British ambassador in Georgia, Gareth Ward, personally visited various officials, including parliamentary ones, asking for meetings, tea, and threateningly declaring that Russian oil products should not be supplied to Georgia. Papuashvili said, Speaker of the Georgian Parliament. According to him, the actions of UK government, which has now itself exempted the petroleum products produced in third countries using Russian oil from sanctions, are immoral and hypocritical. British ambassador called on us to put pressure on our businesses to stop importing Russian petroleum products, while UK itself, to ease pressure on their businesses, are easing actually access to Russian oil or oil products produced in third countries from Russian oil, right? And Papuashvili clearly is on point and once again demonstrating how despicable, really, right? How despicable Western ruling elites are, really, and that includes, of course, British leadership, British ruling class, British leadership. And on this topic, yesterday I saw this report, by the way, on RT, that UK actually allowed the import of diesel and jet fuel produced from Russian oil in third countries for an unlimited period. These hypocrites, by the way, literally hypocrites, right? They want to harm Russia. They are ready to sacrifice everything and everybody around, on some levels, even their own citizens, by the way, right? That's how Western elites are. But because they themselves are located in the West, of course, they would prefer to sacrifice others first, right? So that in their own countries, they will still be in control of the situation because they don't want to see a freaking revolution, right? Actual natural revolution that will be generated inside the public. And those European countries are quite close to it, I think, right? They are quite close, man. Because people are not happy. I mean, you name the European country, for example. If you check studies, social studies, you will find out that people are extremely not happy with the state of economy, with their own governments, with social fabric, right, itself. That is stretched beyond limits, and their difference. That is that for now. This last couple of news, one from Georgia and another from RT, that UK actually is easing access for their businesses to Russian oil, even if it's from third parties, while demanding from others not to do so, right? Which is insane. But that once again just highlights how despicable these so-called elites in the West are, and that is that, right? And there was also right now another super chat on Rumble, dear friends, from Scooby. Thank you very much, Scooby, again for your super chat and to the donation. And Scooby is commenting: did God really create war so that Americans can learn geography? Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Probably yes. I mean, how ironic and how sad and tragic it is that many Americans are learning about different parts of this world, different countries, different regions, only when their country is attacking people in those countries and the regions, right? This is pretty much unfortunate and tragic, but yeah. Educational level in US is of course beyond any criticism. Our friends from America, members of our community from US probably will agree with me on that, that schools and universities in US are just total crap, man. Especially schools. I mean, in universities, you might still have some decent levels, not everywhere, but in some places at least, right? But although US universities being infiltrated and corrupted tremendously, obviously, all of these officials in the US have diplomas from leading US universities. And if those idiots get diplomas from Columbia, from Yale, and so on, then what kind of universities are they? I mean, really, it's crazy, right? But anyways, at least some universities in US probably are maintaining certain level of certain high level and standards. But when it comes to school system in US, probably it is some just unbelievably bad, man, unbelievably bad, because I have seen so many videos, man, when people are randomly stopping on the street, just and this is unedited videos, right? Just people are walking around, stopping people and asking some basic questions about US or about the rest of the world, and people don't know, man, answer, and you might wonder, what the hell, man? Now you people are from where, right? Did you learn anything in school or in university or? But yes, this is unfortunate reality, Scooby. I mean, you are spot on there. God probably is very unhappy with humanity, man. Very unhappy with humanity. I can guess. I don't know, of course, but probably he is very unhappy with humanity, because I want to be optimist and believe that humanity can do better, much better. But you know, another super chat from another super chat from Scooby. Interesting one. I managed to read it. It's a short sentence. Once again, thank you, Scooby, for your super chat and the donation. And Scooby is commenting, I'm fine with you ignoring my super chat, by the way, the one. I did not ignore none of your super chats, Scooby. I said that I will react on super chats from anybody. And if in super chat there is no insults or direct personal attacks or insults, if it's a normal super chat, right? It can be critical or about anything. No way I'm gonna ignore it. And I don't know what you are talking about, Scooby. I did not ignore no your super chat. I missed your one super chat yesterday. I end live stream, and that's when your super chat appeared. That's when I see it, and I reacted on that super chat when you were critical of me, when you said I reacted on it in the beginning of this video. Maybe you did not see it, maybe you joined later, but I began this update. There was technical issues first, and then I reacted on your yesterday's that last super chat, and then I went with the news updates. So I'm not ignoring nothing. you know. If I miss, by chance, if I miss any of your super chats, then sorry, buddy, but not intentionally for sure.
I mean, it's fine if you don't bother. I post like 5 of every night.
Ah, that's what it is. Okay, I get little confused. So Annie just told me that Scooby added a comment that, and this is, you can see, dear friends, I mean, it's fine if you don't bother, given I post like 5 of them a night. No, man, super chat is a super chat. I said I will react on super chats, and I will react on the super chats. And what can I say? I can only say thank you for super chat, because you are simultaneously donating to the project, right? So I have no issues with it whatsoever. It's exactly the opposite. Maybe other members of our community will also use this rant feature on the Rumble to support this project. I mean, hopefully they will, right? So that it's not just you that uses this super chat feature. I'm grateful, Scooby. I appreciate very much for your assistance and your support, right? So don't worry about it, I get confused initially. I was thinking I missed some super chat from you. So this is it, dear friends. Thank you very much for your attention. How long is this live stream? Goodness me, 2.5 hours. Wow, time is flying, man. So, dear friends, this is it. This is it for now. Hopefully, you liked the video. Hopefully, it was interesting, useful, entertaining, maybe. Right? And if so, if you can like the video, click that like button and leave some commentary once stream will end. And for members of our community that will watch this video later on, in several hours from now, I will ask them to leave some commentary too in the chatter, and also to like video. Could be helpful. And well, let's see how they goes, dear friends. If there is interesting updates on some major topics, I will launch second live stream in the evening at 9-10 p.m. But if there is slow news-wise, then this is gonna be it, right? In that case, see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and take care. Bye for now. And dear friends, if you can support my work, please subscribe to my Patreon page or page on Boosty if for whatever reason you don't like Patreon, right? And there is also PayPal, of course, that you can use to support every now and then. I'm forgetting to just mention it in case new members are watching. All the links to support are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. Have a wonderful day and take care. Bye.